It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the St. Cloud State assistant men's ice hockey coach, Nick Oliver. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in college men's ice hockey?
Well, I was fortunate being able to grow up around both parents that were teachers and educators, and my mom was an elementary principal, and my dad, growing up for 16 years, was either the head men's ice hockey coach or men's football coach at the University of Minnesota Crookston. So I was fortunate to grow up either around the rink or around the football field. Growing up around athletics and a family of coaches and educators, I think some of those passions and interests were instilled in me at a young age. So once I got done playing here at St. Cloud State and realized that I wasn't going to have a long and historic NHL career, I decided that I'd give it a shot on the other side of the game in coaching, and that's kind of how I got my start.
What was it like, obviously, coming from your dad who also coached, getting into coaching?
Well, I think, like I said, growing up around it showed me. I just think you learn a lot. Like, you learn a lot as a young guy, growing up around locker rooms with 22-year-old men at age 8 and 9, and not really knowing any better, and you're hearing probably swear words for the first time, and you're seeing people interact for the first time, and it's a lot of firsts, right? And for your first road trip with dad to a football game that's 8 hours away, you get to ride the bus and miss a couple of days of school. Like, that was the coolest thing ever. So you just learn a lot, I think, growing up in that environment, in that setting. And I think kids are a byproduct of their environment a lot of times, and I was no different. And probably deep down knowing that that's somewhere I wanted to get into the coaching side.
What was it like, obviously, playing for St. Cloud State and putting on that hockey jersey for them?
It was great for me. Like, St. Cloud was when I was a young kid growing up. As a program, really hadn't taken a step yet in terms of being a perennial, top 5 team and team that contends for championships every year. And so they were kind of a program that was up and coming when they recruited me, and one of the few schools that recruited me very hard. So I didn't really have that difficult of a decision to make. I went where I was wanted, and couldn't have been any happier. Like, it's a school and program that prides itself on family first and people first, and that really fit me very, very well. And so obviously, as a player, it was a perfect fit that way. From an academic standpoint, it was a perfect fit, and I'm very grateful and thankful that I was able to play for a lot of great coaches and with great teammates, and we were able to have a lot of success on the teams that I was a part of.
How was it like, obviously, playing as a player in the Frozen Four?
Yeah, it was obviously great accomplishment for my teammates and myself and our entire staff as well, to be a part of a program first, and the first team that was able to advance to a Frozen Four. And for me, that's still one of the major accomplishments that I'm most proud of as both a player and a coach, is being a part of that first team that was able to go and hang that first Frozen Four banner in school history, and really continue the trajectory upward for our program at St. Cloud State.
What was this 2013 Frozen Four like for you?
It was cool. Like, it was, like I said, a lot of cool to be a part of that first group to do it. A lot of buildup going into the game, and I think going through it as a player helped last year, then going through it as a coach, just some of the things that you go through, some of the emotions that you go through. And I think probably looking back, there was so much buildup, you forget that it's still a hockey game, a 60-minute game, and you still have to go out and execute and do the things that are going to make you successful. And unfortunately in 2013, we got down really early to a really good Quinnipiac team who had a good goalie and a really good defensive program. And we were behind chasing it 20 minutes in. So that was tough. So it was, unfortunately it was over quick. And, but the other cool part is we all got to be there for Drew LeBlanc winning the Hobie Baker. And our whole team got to be there to celebrate with him and enjoy that moment with him. And obviously that was another big first in our program's history too.
Of course, coming out of college, what was it like getting your first assistant coaching job?
You know what, it was great. Like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't, I didn't end up scoring a ton of points while I played. I was a hardworking guy that kind of did whatever I could for the team. And for me, my pro hockey playing career wasn't probably going to end up being that long or that lucrative for me. And I was actually all set to go play in the East Coast Hockey League when I got an opportunity to go down to Sioux Falls with first time or new head coach there, Scott Owens, and be his assistant coach. And I just thought it was a great opportunity for me to go start working with not only in a great program in Sioux Falls, but with one of the best who's ever done it. And that's Scott Owens. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I gave up playing at that time because I just saw it as a really good opportunity that I couldn't pass up. And really grateful that I was able to learn a lot for 3 years from Coach Owens and obviously going through the ranks in the USHL.
What was it like, obviously, coaching at Sioux Falls, and what were some of your accomplishments?
It was fun. Like it's a fun age group. You're working with kids anywhere from 16 to 20. And I had played in the league as well back in Fargo. And so it was cool to be back and as a first time coach, like the best part about junior hockey is you get to do a lot. Like you wear every different hat imaginable. You're helping with equipment, you're doing video, you're doing coaching, you're obviously involved in practices, games. But for me, probably the best experience I was able to gain was Coach Owens. Just as soon as I got hired, he said, you're going to do our recruiting and you're going to be on the road and you're going to do our recruiting and you're going to be a part of building our lists and our players for our drafts. And so that was something that was really obviously new to me but gave me, invaluable experience as I got older and then got to the college level, is just having that experience of knowing the player pool and evaluating players and being wrong. I think that's a huge part of junior hockey and recruiting is learning how to be wrong and learning from your mistakes. And so that was all very cool. And obviously for us, it was able to 3 years of work put in. That fourth year, Sioux Falls was able to hoist the Clark Cup. I at that point I moved on to St. Cloud State. So I think I was probably just the problem. They had to kind of get rid of me before they could win that championship. But it was a lot of fun being able to coach some of those kids and obviously recruit some of those players and help to be a piece of building that thing up.
What was it like, obviously, moving from Sioux Falls to your alma mater and getting the coaching job at your alma mater of St. Cloud?
For me, it was a dream come true. Like it was St. Cloud, both as a recruited player, as a student athlete here, and really been a huge part of my life. And, I committed to St. Cloud when I was 16 years old and I'm 30 now. So that's, if you do the math, that's half my life. I've considered myself a St. Cloud State Husky. So for me, it was cool to come home. My wife's an alum of St. Cloud State as well. So it was fun for her to come back and being closer to family and friends again in northwestern Minnesota. But very fortunate to be able to come back and work with Coach Larson, Coach Gibbons, Coach Shayak, unbelievable coaching staff that I've been able to learn from and great student athletes that I've been able to learn from as well. So it's been very, very special for me.
Of course, how has it been different as a coach going to the Frozen Four versus when you were a player?
I think both that experience and just in general, I think as a coach, you know a lot more now, and a lot of it you wish you knew when you were a player. But I think as a player, you have it easy. Like you prepare yourself and you get to go play. And as a coach, you're always, I guess, thinking about things. You're always wondering, can you do things differently? What can you do more of? How can you get the most out of these certain individuals? Like you never are able to really turn it off. Whereas a player, you're just so naive and you don't really understand the pressure, the feeling of it. So I think that was a huge difference. But like I said earlier, I think also being able to draw in my experience as a player from past and obviously Coach Larson, who's been through it on national championship teams at Duluth. And, he's been in that, and Coach Shayak won it as a player back at Northern Michigan. So obviously a staff that's we feel has some good experience in those moments. And it was fun to be able to use some of that last year in Pittsburgh.
What was it like in 2018, obviously going to the first ever NCAA championship for the Frozen Four?
Yeah, very cool to be a part of another program first. And for us, obviously disappointing the way it ended, and wish we could have finished that last one off. But going through the year that was COVID and all the cancellations and all the uncertainty, like just to be able to see our guys get rewarded for their efforts and their work, and culminating with a national championship game experience was extremely proud moment for me and our staff, and just very cool to be able to see those guys live out that dream and be that close, right? Be one step away. So very cool to see the support around the program, and just another great moment for St. Cloud State hockey.
What are some of the things that you've accomplished as a coach for St. Cloud State?
Well, I think, this is year 4 for me now. And I think just as a program, like we feel like we're in a great spot right now. And we've been able to achieve a lot of team success and individual success from our players. Obviously most recently Coach Larson and 2 of our players, Nick Perbix and Sam Henches, being named to the U.S. Olympic roster. So I think Jack Pert, a little bit before that, unfortunately didn't get to play, but named to the U.S. World Junior roster. So I just think it's cool to see where our program's at in terms of the national landscape, the global landscape of hockey. And I think it's really helped with our recruiting and getting the right people in here and the right caliber of player. And so for me, again, it's just been a lot of fun to see the growth of our program. And obviously the challenge now is to keep pushing the bar forward and keep things where it's at.
What are some of your game day traditions that you have for the men's ice hockey program?
Game day traditions. I don't know. We're pretty tied to our team schedule, right? Normally in the morning we get in and as a staff, we'll discuss anything we need to go over in any of our morning meetings. Usually have 1 or 2 meetings in the morning, including a quick game day skate. And then kind of the afternoon is your really only quiet time of the week, to be honest. The players kind of leave for their meal and their pregame naps and whatever they do. And as a coach, you kind of have really your couple down hours to get caught up on different work, different recruiting stuff, different whatever it might be, and before you have to gear back up for the game that night. So game days are fun, always fun. You got the excitement in the buildup of great hockey, and obviously you get some time to be around your players and also tackle some recruiting stuff as well.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped build as a coach for the St. Cloud State?
Yeah, our culture, I think it's been the probably the biggest benefit, or I should say the biggest strength of our program has been in the culture. And this started, even before I got here as a player, and I was fortunate enough to be on some good teams here as a player, and the culture was continued, since that point. And, I think it's crazy just to think that, in the last 7 years, St. Cloud State's been ranked number 1 in the country at a certain point in time in 4 of those 7 years. And that's crazy to think about a program like ours and the size of a school as ours is. And but it comes back to the type of people we have, and guys that want to win a national championship and guys that want to play in the NHL, and they do that all in an environment where they love their teammates and they love what they do every day. Like that's all you can ask for as a coach, and it's fun to be around that and watch that, and definitely makes me better as a coach too. So it's been a great environment that way.
Of course, what does the recruitment process look like for prospective student athletes looking to play college ice hockey?
Yeah, I think now the beauty of hockey and college hockey is there's so many different ways to get there and so many different avenues. You have just in Minnesota, you have high school hockey, the high school model, and usually after that, most of our guys play at least 1 year of junior hockey. And there's so many good leagues for that now, whether it's the USHL, the North American Hockey League, all the different leagues in Canada, right? European junior leagues. So there's a lot of different avenues for that. And then outside of Minnesota, you have different midget programs, midget leagues. There's just the growth of the game has been great. And on the West Coast, down south, different areas of the country that have probably non-traditional hockey markets in the past have really started to produce some players. And so the old adage is if you're good enough, they'll find you. And I think Division I men's ice hockey adding more and more programs each year, I think only helps give more kids that opportunity to play. So that's kind of the route I would say for typically for most of our guys.
Of course, when you go on the road, what are some of the things that you look at in these prospective student athletes?
Well, for us, number one, they have to be a really good person and a really good competitor, and that's probably the number one box that our guys have to check. And then after that, like, you're as a player, your talent's gonna bring us to the table, like your hockey sense, your skating ability, your skill with the puck, like those things are going to make us come to watch as coaches. But at the end of the day, what's going to be that one thing that really gets us over the edge with you? And is it a lot of times he's a great teammate, he's a great student. He does everything the right way. His coaches can stamp him and stamp his character. And usually that's the one thing, the common denominator of players that we've seen that have success here and really anywhere are those really good teammates and competitors.
Of course, when these prospective student athletes come on these official visits, what is the process like on the official visit for college ice hockey?
Kids get 48 hours on their official visit. That's pretty standard across NCAA. That's the rule. So once they step foot on campus, the visit starts and they get 48 hours, and that will entail a lot of different things. Like we try to always plan it around a game if we have a home game. Sometimes it's in the summer, so that it always isn't possible. But usually try to get them to a game or a practice of some kind and include them in some team meetings. And then obviously, tour up on campus, seeing all the different buildings, meetings with advisors and department heads, depending on what their preferred major would be, to give them a really good feel for campus. Make sure that they see the living arrangements, where our guys live and what that looks like. And then for us, the biggest thing is we love not only for us to spend time with as a staff with the student athlete or prospective student athlete, but have them spend time with our current guys. And we think that's the best sell of our program is we want to put our recruits with our current players and get a feel for if they're like-minded people and if they could see themselves playing with and living with people like that for 4 years. And we feel strong enough in our culture and our environment that if we put recruits with our current players, they're going to see that they're great people and great competitors and guys that really look out for each other. So that's a really big thing we like to do on our visits is have those guys spend quite a bit of time together.
Of course, as a coach and alumni of St. Cloud State, what is it like obviously having those recruits see obviously the campus and obviously see their jerseys that they'll be wearing for the next 4 to 5 years?
Yeah, it's cool. Like it brings me back a lot of times to my visit, and I'll still remember my visit with my parents and who we met with and where we were, and so that's the cool part about being able to give some of these tours and these visits is just being back up on campus, and it brings you back down memory lane a little bit, and usually can think of a story or two in each building you walk in. So that's a cool part. It makes obviously my job, the intrinsic value there is extremely high for me being an alum and something that I really enjoy doing.
What advice would you give these high school prospects that are looking to play college ice hockey?
Yeah, get good grades, be a good student, be a good teammate. Like I said, that's kind of usually the determining factor for us. And, I think the best players we've had here at St. Cloud are our hardest workers and the guys that put the most time into their games. So there's no excuse or no not excuse, but supplement for hard work. And I think the kids that truly invest in their game and do it the right way have the best chance to continue to develop.
What advice would you give those college ice hockey players that are looking to go from playing college ice hockey to obviously going in the NHL or the ECH?
Yeah, it's very similar. Like, I think, especially when you get to college, the college level, like there's plenty of guys that are able to advance to pro hockey because they can do something really well at the college level, right? Like, not everyone's going to score a bunch of points and be on the power play, but there can be really good penalty killers. It can be really good defensive players, really good goalies, obviously. So, yeah, I think regardless of any level, if you're able to be a part of a winning team and a successful program, like it only opens more options for you. So start there and obviously build your book of business and how you do things and give yourself more opportunities.
What advice would you give those future college ice hockey coaches looking to get started in the industry?
Yeah, I think you gotta be surrounded by good people. And I think it starts with being willing to do the work. I think that's what a lot of people don't realize about when they want to get into coaching is it takes a lot of time and commitment. So you number one have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to take some risks to put yourself in some uncomfortable situations to gain experience. And from there, I think put yourself around good people and work for different people and good people that you can really learn from and then let your work ethic speak for itself.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the men's ice hockey program at?
It's a good question. I'm only on Twitter, but I've actually been locked out of my Twitter for a couple of months. I got a new phone and I don't know my password, so I haven't been too active on social media. But our men's hockey program, I think it's on Twitter is SCSU Men's Ice Hockey. If you type that in, I'm sure something will pop up. And I'll hopefully get back on Twitter here in the next few weeks. But it's been a nice little break for me. Not having it up on my phone all the time. So hopefully I can get that going again.
Thank you again, Coach Nick Oliver, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the college men's ice hockey program at St. Cloud State.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Nick, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Appreciate it.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.